But joining us now with another story where we know crystal clear why he's running is J.D. Hayworth, who announced today that he's going to run against John McCain in Arizona. And this is a good race for a lot of reasons. As we know, McCain is a shame. We know McCain threw the election to Obama. We know that McCain had one opportunity after another to win, and he wouldn't do it. And now J.D. Hayworth, who's a genuine conservative, a real one, is going to run against McCain in the primaries. I can't wait to see that one. J.D., welcome to the Savage Nation.
Michael, it is so great to be back with you on the Savage Nation and to be able to announce to your audience that, yes, indeed, I am a candidate for the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate to succeed John McCain.
Now, do you get to debate McCain in a primary, J.D.?
Well, we very much want to debate John McCain as often as possible. And, in fact, Michael, with all due respect to John, and look, we all appreciate the sacrifices he's made for our country. None of us have anything but respect for John as a historical figure. But quite frankly, that so-called straight talk express has been turned into the zigzag express. John is abandoning positions he held, claiming now that he's a conservative, and it's really an election year conversion. And so I hope we debate John McCain all over the place, and I may bring two chairs for both John McCains, the one who campaigns like a conservative, but who legislates like a liberal.
Well, what about illegal immigration? That's the hot-button issue in Arizona and so many other states. It came out today that many Mexican illegals are actually disseminating. They're the biggest distributors of black tar heroin in white communities in America. It's another epidemic that just exploded on the pages of the L.A. Times. We know that most of them come here to work, but we know that a good percentage of them don't. We know that 1 out of 3 illegal prisoners are illegal aliens. We know that they're bankrupting hospitals across America. Are you going to take a strong position on the illegal immigration story, Mr. Hayworth?
Well, you will recall, Michael, that I wrote a book that I would recommend to your listening audience, Whatever It Takes, on the way we could stop illegal immigration with an enforcement-first policy. I wrote that legislation when I was in the Congress. I am a vigorous opponent of the McCain amnesty plan. I was so thankful when you and so many others of us behind the microphone fought that plan tooth and toenail, and the facts were on our side, Michael. In fact, you'll know that the Heritage Foundation did a study on retirement benefits alone. Retirement benefits alone for illegals granted amnesty under McCain's plan, in the long term, that would cost taxpayers $2.6 trillion with a T. It makes no sense, and yet there's John McCain saying he supports comprehensive immigration reform, which you and I know is just a code word for amnesty.
Yes, and of course they really want the votes as well as the cheap labor. If they were to grant amnesty to the 20 or so million illegal aliens with their families, that's the end of America as we know it. It'll be a lifetime of radical socialism in this country, J.D. But what is let's say you beat McCain in the primary. Who do you run against?
Well, I'm not sure who the Democrats are going to put up, but I got to tell you, to the extent that midterm elections are a referendum on the performance of the president in office, I think people are waking up daily to the massive mistake that is the Obama administration. And quite frankly, I believe this race for the United States Senate, with all due respect to whomever the Democrats nominate, it's going to be really the Republican primary between John McCain and me. And it's real simple, Michael. John McCain has all the Washington establishment, and even though he says he wants campaign finance reform, he's got all the millions of dollars. And I'm sitting here just with great grassroots support. So John can keep all that money. I'll get the votes. But I do have to say this, Michael. I would really welcome the help of the Savage Nation. The website is jdforsenate.com. And right now we're doing what they call a money bomb, where people are contributing. And we can get this done. But it'll take grassroots work, not only in Arizona, but throughout the Savage Nation to get it done. So I just invite your listeners to log on to jdforsenate.com.
Now, JD, on the I hope they do that. The global warming fraud has been exposed to everyone with a degree above the 7th grade. Anyone in the world with any education above the 7th grade knows that the entire global warming scam has been exposed. It came out today. The chief scientist, so-called, can't even find the data that he based all of this upon. And yet John McCain co-wrote the McCain-Lieberman cap and trade bill. You opposed cap and trade legislation, don't you?
I absolutely oppose it. It is a guarantee. It's almost as bad as amnesty. Amnesty, as you said, quite correctly, Michael, would profoundly change America for the worse, change the very fabric of the country. And likewise, this cap and trade All it is designed to do is to restrict the abilities of Americans to fire the economic engines that bring prosperity, to cut into personal lifestyles, to dominate Americans, take away their freedom with a command and control culture, and basically to raise their taxes for energy prices. That's wrong. You're right. McCain wrote that bill. McCain-Lieberman. He's tried to back away from it this year as part of a campaign year conversion.
Oh. You mean McCain is now backing away from this cap and trade bill? That's amazing, because I would say in any debate you could end it with that one alone. I mean, immigration and cap and trade is the end of it with him. JD, let me ask you something. Let's say you win the primary in when is the primary in Arizona?
Primary is in the long, hot summer. It's August 24th.
Okay, primary is August 24th, and then, of course, the general election's November 2010?
That's correct, in November, yes.
So if you win in November, when would you be seated as the U.S. Senator from Arizona?
Well, I would be seated in the next Congress, which would come in January of 2011, unless Senator McCain wanted me to have a head start and would graciously resign the seat. And again, I'm not. That's just reality. Sometimes.
No, I know he's not ready to move to Mongolia to open that Buick dealership yet, is he?
Probably not. But that is one possibility. But in all likelihood, I would be seated in January of 2011.
JD, let me ask you a favor. I'm going to do something open on this show. I try to be as open as possible. You well know I've been banned in Britain by the illegal socialist forces of the UK government. I'm pretty sure you heard about it, correct?
You bet, because my program in Phoenix used to precede yours, and I drive home listening to you. And I heard about the outrage of them banning your right to free speech.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you promise to help get my name off that list when you become a U.S. Senator, we will help get J.D. Hayworth into the U.S. Senate, because no other U.S. Senator has come to my aid. Only one congressman has written a letter on my behalf. That would be wonderful Congressman Culberson of Texas. The rest of them have pretended I don't exist. But my audience will help you if you know you're going to help me. I'll tell you, I mean, it's a horse trade right on the air. I don't know if it's, wrong or anything, but I need as much help as I can get, and I'm willing to throw all of the weight of the show behind you if you'll get my name off that list. I'm not asking for a dime in return. I just want fairness, and I don't have it right now, J.D.
I understand, Michael, but we do have to be very careful of what's called a quid pro quo, where you say, you do this for me, and because it is against the law. So let me
it shows you how stupid I am and why I can't be a politician.
I just want to make sure everybody understands this. And again, it's one of the problems I have with John McCain. That whole McCain-Feingold so-called campaign finance reform did what? It restricted free speech in the political arena. It banned organizations like the National Rifle Association from doing certain advertising in the final days of a campaign, but carved out exceptions for media corporations like the New York Times. And so just let me say in general, the point you make broadly about, hey, if they ban Michael Savage in Britain, it actually speaks to our freedoms in the United States. I agree with that. I do not believe political expression should be extinguished either in the United States or in the British Isles among our British cousins in the UK. Indeed, I count one of the highlights of my life going to the Oxford Union, the world's oldest English debating society, and having a free and open debate. And incidentally, it's the closest an American will ever feel to being a prime minister, because there you are at the dispatch box between the benches. And I shudder to think that the United Kingdom, that embraces political debate in the fashion of the Oxford Union, would, through government action, try to silence you in the same way that, sadly, First Amendment rights...
Well, I don't want to go on and on about it, J.D. This is about you, but I will tell you, I had been invited last summer to the Cambridge Union to debate, and then it was suddenly withdrawn, we know, because of political pressure from the Brown administration. Not only did they ban me from Britain, but they banned me from the Cambridge Union debate. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of the United Kingdom, and it's a very sad story. But anyway, I'll survive one way or the other, I'm sure. I think, if you stick to your story of being a true conservative, which, by the way, you didn't invent yesterday. I know you from previous appearances on this show. I know that you're a genuine conservative, and this is not a joke. That's real. You have a 100% pro-life voting record. You have an A rating from the NRA. You have a lifetime rating of 89 from Citizens Against Government Waste. You have a lifetime rating of 98 from the American Conservative Union. And if you compare any of that against poor old John McCain, who we all do love, really, in our own way, despite the ribbing. But he did a shameful thing in the campaign by not going for Obama's weaknesses, which he should have done. And I believe you should win.